back to Drinks Coach. Yes, I'm doing another one after yesterday's one when I'm still upright. Oh, gosh. Not well, but I need to get some of this content out. Otherwise, I'm going to run out of time before Christmas. My name is Joe Wadsack. You're watching the Drinks Coach UK. Vinesack on social media. That is Vinesack. Look me up on Twitter or so X or whatever it's called. And on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as Joe Wadsack, and also the Drinks Coach UK, all lowercase, will work as another handle on all platforms. Welcome back, welcome to my mates out there. I'm glad to see that people are pleased to see me back, which is great. This is Series 3, Episode 2, and we're calling the early part of this series saying thank you to all the people that helped my wife and I keep our house this summer. A lot of people supported us during the food festivals, and I said, do you know what, I want to get around to it. I'll do a drinks coach about your wines just to get it out there so people know, because some of the stuff is interesting. I think people just like to know what's what, and I'll try and be as honest as I can with the parameters of the fact that they've paid me. But you guys out there, this is for you. Emma, thank you very much for supporting us so royally this summer. I do hope we continue the relationship because I think the wines are quite exciting. So what wines am I talking about? Well, this is an estate in Kent, which in 2014 just simply was in the imagination of some lunatic. Pardon me. It is now a giant estate in Kent. It's amazing. It's beautiful to go there, and it's also quite nice if you buy an estate which is on a piece of land which is so ancient that all the forests were not planted, but there were actually savage forests where you got proper wild life and proper wilding sites. Beautiful, beautiful hilltops, beautiful sense of nature, and also bits of really, really amazing history just lying about. This is the estate of Silverhand. This used to be Bishop Odo's palace. Bishop Odo was half brother to William the Conqueror and was bishop to William II. There's lots and lots of rumours. It's very possible that Bishop Odo had him killed so that Henry would take the throne. But we have some wines here which look very fancy. This is their bottle. It's quite a slightly broader than usual bottle. It's quite fancy, actually. Look at this bottle, which was actually released to sort of get people excited about the project before they had that bottle made. This is just a plain old green Frontignan champagne bottle. Doesn't look half as sexy, although that's the fancy one at the end that we're going to taste. Okay, so what's the skinny? What's going on? What's the drilly, cuz? What's up? Okay, right. Part of the MCDV group, which is the vineyard group of Mark Dixon, who is a very famous entrepreneur from the UK, who set up a company called Regis. They do hot desking around the world. You can rent a space for hours or days, weeks, months, even years in all of the great cities in the world now, pretty much. And he'll provide you with 5-star secretarial services and all the facilities and all the bandwidth to do whatever you have to do. So if you become a member, it becomes like a global office, inspired and made him extremely wealthy. On the back of that, he then bought some vineyards in the Provence. Most famously Chateau Bern, which is the second largest estate after Minity, at about 850 acres. And he has 3 others now too. Very successful estates with beautiful restaurants, amazing wine, tourism. If you fly down in Marseille and you go there, you'll find that every car has an English number plate on it. If you're getting your rental car from Marseille, you'll be the one out. They have Michelin-star accommodation, they have Michelin-star food. The whole thing's really quite spectacular and definitely worth a trip. If you have a weekend where you want to be romantic with someone, you want to show them the world, some class, but you don't have time to go off reservation, this is the perfect place to go. You don't have to leave. They'll do you a tour around the vineyards. They'll give you a wine tasting on site. Then you can go to the pizzeria and have fantastic pizza, and then have a Michelin-starred in the evening. There's a bunch of different choices as far as swimming pools are concerned as well. And it's in the beautiful Provence. So all the trees are this dark, very, very dark green. Skies are very vivid blue, and the soil's bright brown with iron oxide, and you've got all this purple and red from lavenders and plants. It's like it's not real. It's an incredible place to be. I can see why Provence has become so popular with the British, and now increasingly the Germans and the Swedes as well, and the Dutch and everyone else. Okay, so Silverhand. Okay, so there's two real reasons for Silverhand. First of all, a couple of very large farms who weren't going to sell that or weren't going to have another generational change, didn't want to be taken over by the youngsters, agreed to sell their lots to Mark Dixon or to Gary Smith, the CEO of the group, and it allowed them to produce a very large site indeed. So big, in fact, they're having a winery designed by Norman Foster, which is going to process a great deal of grapes. They already owned vineyards in the UK, Sedlescombe and Kingscote, making very, very fine wine. One of the nicest oak-aged tobaccos I've ever tasted. Comes from Kingscote. And not to be sniffed at, very fine, very fume quality. And the one thing that you can say about all of the businesses in the MDCV group, is that the wine quality is very, very high. And you'll recognize the labels. When I first started this channel, go right back to episodes 1 through 50, there was a lot of Provence Rosé knocking around, and that's where he specialised. And he is indeed the guy that makes those wonderful bottles which you can never throw away. Ultimate Provence, yes, indeed, gorgeous. They're just lying around the house with bar salts in, olive oil. You know, I just can't. They're just too pretty. But we're waxing on about something that's got nothing to do with this. He thought if I can do it in the Provence, maybe I can do it in Kent. I think when you say, once you come in on your private jet, the vineyard is a mere 15 minutes from the A, whatever it is, next to Gravesend. Doesn't quite sound the same, does it? But you go there, it's absolutely stunning. I drove right through the centre of London on the morning I went to visit, and I was only out of London for 20 minutes, literally just out the other side of East London, and it was all like borough, you know, it's like the ends, as they call them. And then suddenly I'm in this incredible state. There's a manor house there, which is 11th century. That's right. It was built for Bishop Odo. That makes it over 1,000 years old, or about 1,000 years old. And when you go in that room, which is the boardroom for the winery, you can only imagine the amount of people that died in that room over 1,000 years, either violently or otherwise. It's just an extraordinary place. And I strongly recommend when things are up and running properly that you all go down and visit. There's going to be a very, very sexy visitor centre. There's going to be car parking. I've even been told there's going to be subterranean, so it doesn't affect things. Also, there's going to be a very, very big deal about how much land they're acquiring requires a great deal of responsibility in terms of eco-sustainability in nature. And they have, as far as I know, the only professional 24 hours a day eco-sustainability team at the winery, making sure that they don't make stupid mistakes. So it's big. One of these fizzes, I think they're already making, I can't be certain, but certainly over 1 million bottles. And the plan is to make 5 or 6 million of the first one. And this is Silver Rain. You can see that on the front. It says Silver Rain. Compared to this, it says Silver Hand, which is named after the estate. Oh, why is it called Silver Hand, by the way? Well, Bishop Odo had his hand chopped off. Don't know if it was Battle of Hastings, probably. So he had a silver hand made. They are simple. Enough said. Easy. It's perfectly legit. Yes. Dear me, I am really struggling today. Okay, right. Let's just try and finish this off quickly. Emma, I'm doing my best. Okay, and that's my wife Emma and Emma, marketing director at Silverhand. These wines have been a real joy this summer. This wine is made like a prosecco, but using English sparkling wine grapes. So it's made from Pinot Meunier, Pinot Noir, and Chardonnay, but it's made in one go in a bottle under pressure. They call this the Charmat process. It's slightly higher in sweetness than dry champagne at about 15 or 16 grams, but that's still a lot lower than supermarket examples. I remember the Sainsbury's one being over 20, which makes it quite sweet. So here we are. It's the first glass. One. Packaging looks good. Ooh, gushing with fruit. Absolutely gushing with fruit. Don't know how long it's been in the bottle. We can find out. This wine is playing the game. It's very generously fruited. It's lovely. It's 12.5% alcohol. I can't see the bottling code at present. That's partly because my eyesight's on the way to ruin during lockdown. I finally lost. I should get my reading glasses next time. But I don't think it's been in the bottle for more than 6 months. Lovely smell of beautiful Victoria plum, or dark blue plum, or early, what they call them, Frühschwätzke in Austria. Young, early plums, almost damsons on the nose. And a bit of baked apple. It's very loose knit because it's not made using the traditional method. It's carbonated in the bottle, under pressure, bottled under pressure. The process, the Prosecco process, as this is, guarantees reliability, if not necessarily extra finesse. But the point is, it's much, 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 much cheaper to achieve. And it means that we can have premium looking bottles like this in your Young's pub, where at the moment we're buying wine in from Italy and charging customers 35 quid to drink it, and the wine only costs £2 to buy. Absolutely laughable. We should be seeing more of these. I think you'll see more, because of the lovely acidity our grapes have, seeing a lot more of the Charmat wines being produced. I think there's a massive opportunity for them, and I think they're as relevant as traditional method fizz. Yeah, what can I say? Not bad at all. Very well packaged. I think it's quite tasty. I was talking to a very dear friend of mine who I respect very much, especially her palate, her ability to taste, and that's Victoria Moore from the Daily Telegraph. And I was asking her when we first received these wines, what do you think? She went, "Oh, Carl, aren't they awful?" And I thought, oh dear. And I tasted the wines when I first tried them, and I was a bit worried. That was really early on, it's over a year ago. But it just shows you sometimes all the only thing you need is time, because this wine is nowhere near the same wine that was first released. I think it's got a completely different charm to it. And this is really genuinely a wine I'd go out and find. And if this is on offer, which is it's often on offer, it makes for a great alternative to more expensive sparklings. Be great for a 16th or a 21st birthday, or maybe for a sort of like a mini celebration where you don't want to throw money up the wall. It's all right stuff, seriously. And at 16 or 17 pounds fully dressed, great value. They make them for Marks and Spencers. I'm not sure if they're also making them for Tesco now, but they have their own labels around the same money, 15 or 16 pounds. No, I mean that's half the price. Sometimes, don't you know this? You know, you got your friends around, and there's maybe rugby, maybe 2 bottles of wine of this quality is far more relevant to the occasion than one bottle of something which is more than double the quality. Mm. I think that tastes really nice. I have no problems with that. That wine is showing some development too. Okay, moving on to the first of our champagne style traditional method for sparklings. This one just says Silverhand traditional method. I know lighting in here is a bit weird. If I tilt up, you can see the colour better. It's a lovely, sort of laurel green, I would describe that as. Darker than a snooker base. Harrods green, a bit darker maybe. Sort of blue, green. Blue, I can't work it out. It's in between blue and green. Was that aquamarine? Oh, God, I don't know. The artist is not in. That's my wife. She'd be able to tell you. Okay, so 12%. Well, I'm trying to get those corks out when they first came in. Nightmare. They just slip out like a peach now. Okay. I don't know if that means anything. Okay, so here we are. Let it settle a little bit. I might, in fact, put it in my big glass. I do like drinking fizz out of large glasses. Much easier to dissect. Forgive me. I know I'm going to drink it out this one first by comparison. These are really nice, simple glasses you can buy, I think, from Marks and Spencer's or John Lewis. Ah, this is a wine that, when it was first bottled, felt very awkward and herby. It almost smelled like Sauvignon Blanc. It was green. It couldn't be further from that if it tried right now. Got a gorgeous nose. Really spicy. Lovely smell of digestive biscuits and fresh baked apple. It smells almost like apple strudel, apple crumble, something like that. Mm. Lovely acidity. It's based on the 2021 vintage, which was on varying degrees of success around the country. I think it was much more successful in Kent and East Sussex than it was in Hampshire. It was a bit of a disaster down there. But it's got really nice. It smells like, well, dare I say, it smells like champagne. You're in Kent, it's warm down there. So in a vintage like this wine will show very similar stylistic textural cues to champagne. It's not going to cure cancer. It's not the head of Mensa. Probably entirely grown on green sand. It's of a style, but I find that very generous. And at, I think, a retail of £29, and I have a choice between drinking that and, let's say, Veuve Clicquot, best-selling sparkling wine in the world, no? I think. I picked this. So there you go. Do try it. I think you'll be surprised. And because they're the biggest of the block and they're coming in sweeping, all guns blazing, I think a lot of the smaller producers are being quite reticent and there's a bit of infighting. But it won't work in this country unless we're all fighting in the same direction. And you've got to give the big guys a chance as well as the small ones. So there we go. That's the Silverhand, non-vintage, traditional method, which leaves us with this cheeky number. So this number is it's in a bottle that looks slightly less impressive, only because I think when this wine was bottled, these bottles weren't available. This is in fact a 2018 100% Chardonnay, a Blanc de Blanc with no sugar, zero dose. So this is a Blanc de Blanc, not Brut Sauvage. 2018 was heralded by almost everyone who saw it as the greatest ever vintage in the UK. When I say greatest ever, how far do you have to go back? Well, we only started making properly wine again in the mid-50s. Before that, it was Henry VIII that sacked all the monasteries. So we can say for at least the last 500 years, 2018 was largely declared as the greatest vintage in the UK. I think 16 was as good. For champagne and sparklings, definitely. But for table wines, it was a game changer. It was warm enough to make the first red wines in this country. And we'll go on to that in a minute because these guys make very good reds too. And very good wines. They do grow a lot of Solaris. Just a load of crap. I've never had a Solaris I liked. Anyway, there we go. They do make some very good Bacchus. Very, very good Bacchus. Okay. So here we go. It's weird. We've gone from a wine that's 16 grams per litre sugar to one that was about 9 grams, and now we've gone to one that's 0. The cardinal rule about drinking sparkling wines is you go up in sweetness and not down. Problem is, we're going the reverse order of quality and price. This one's 50 quid. Yep, you heard it. About £49 at the time of writing. But there's a reason for that, you see, because it's bloody good. So generous and ripe. There are certain producers of Blanc de Blanc or Chardonnay-driven champagnes in Champagne who stand out because they're very, they don't mind allowing the wines to become very generously ripe. They'll be very nervous about losing the acidity so they won't age. Or wines that are very sharp and minerally indefined. Some people don't worry about that so much. This reminds me of the first ever vintage of Philippe Honnin, one of the great small houses. Philippe Honnin's non-dosé, I think it was 2003? Could have been earlier than that. But in 2003, it might have been earlier than that. You'd have to ask Doug Regg at Cave de Perenne. I remember pouring that to me in Banqueting House, the centre of London, underneath the ceiling, hand painted, no less, by Rubens. Wow, you don't know these things until people tell you. Wow, place. That's also the balcony which Charles II got his head lopped off. So you know, right. Okay, this wine has vinosity. What do I mean by that? As the wine gets older, it becomes more like wine and less like just a bag of fruit. It's a bit like what happens to kimchi. Kimchi starts off as fruit, vegetables, cabbage and a bit of spice and vinegar, and it ends up as something else. And we call that kimchi. Well, when you do that to wine and let the wine ferment, it turns into wine. And it's an age thing, and it takes time. So when you look at the things you're looking for in wine, I've realised that for those people who only just come to kimchi for the first time, it's a fantastic, useful training aid to teach people to taste the flavours that come from age and from fermentation and not from fresh fruit. And this wine has, I'm not saying it smells like kimchi because it doesn't. Or does it even taste like kimchi because it doesn't. But in the Venn diagram of life, kimchi and aged, particularly non-sugared sparkling wines coexist in the same space. And this is wonderfully creamy in the mouth. Because it hasn't had sugar added to it, it hasn't gone through other slightly less predictable complex chemical reactions over the last, whatever it is now, 6 years. So it's actually, because it has no sugar, it's more like a sparkling, they're putting bubbles into a premium Chablis. This wine now has the wonderful silkiness and texture of a Chablis that's 6 years old. It has this wonderful mouthfeel. Been living on dead yeast cells, so it gives it a mouthfeel, a creaminess. I'll put it in this glass now. Oh, I do hope the other shows are better than this. I'm sorry, it's my voice, but we're still working. I can see on the camera that my external mic is still working. The levels are still there. Oh, marvelous. Okay, so Silverhand Estate, owned by. So, gotta start again. Silverhand Estate, owned by Mark Dixon. Mark? Yes. Mark Dixon, who created the Regis Group and part of the grander wine offering they serve in the Provence. Every good nightclub should sell Ultimate Provence or Chateau de Bern. You can buy in your local Waitrose and Sainsbury's quite easily enough. These are very good fizzes. The first one, brand new to the market, it's a Prosecco style wine made using champagne grapes. And I think it's very successful, very tasty, especially in winter. It's got plenty of flavour. Then you got the second one, which is a non-vintage sparkling wine made like a champagne, based on the 21 vintage, and it's now come into alignment. I think it's extremely attractive. And then we've got the Silverhand 2018 Blanc de Blanc, which is kind of becoming quite mature now and is really gastro. I'd love to have this with a bit of oysters and then maybe some Stilton and biscuits afterwards. But a wonderful foodie wine and made from existing vineyards down by the coast. I think some vineyards, I believe, were even on the Isle of Wight. I might have imagined that, I'm not sure. But also, it's got Kingscote near Kingscote, near Haywards Heath, around that area. And then you've got Settleskin, which is down on the coast. They already had great source and old vines, and this is what we've got to show for it. Really, really good wines. Brand new estate, here for the long haul, trust me. And global production is going to be up to about 6 or 7 million bottles in no time at all. They already have over 1,000 acres of vineyard. Watch this space. My name's been Joe Wadsack. Enjoy the next episode of Drinks Coke. I have no idea when it's going to come. I'm hoping it's tomorrow. But then I could have passed away in my sleep. See you then.